coming at you live from Watkins, Glen. It's round 10 of the SRA NasClassic ARCA series. As we head to the first road course on the schedule, we well and truly test these drivers' capabilities to turn right as well as left around this classic stock car road venue. I'm Howie Burrows, and I'm alongside Derek. I've already lost your name in the process. Help me out, Derek. I'm alongside Derek in the commentary booth for this long one here at Watkins Glen.
It is a long one, right? We've had a long day. We took the virtual trip across the pond. You and I and Finicini are live on Green Flag TV earlier with the FTR Super Cup from Silverstone. So we took the virtual trip here across the pond to, well, we went from a track with many turns to a track with few turns. In fact, as we're now here live at the virtual Watkins Glen, we're going to watch the SRA NasClassic ARCA Blitz Series turn some laps. Qualifying is just about ready to wrap up here. And this is the ARCA cars. It's the cup layout. Howie, this should be a very fast race. About a minute 10, minute 11, maybe minute 13 for these laps. Well, I suspect we'll see in race conditions. So this will be a very fast race. Probability very, very low of cautions. This will be hopefully a very calm race.
Hopefully very calm, and Watkins Glen doesn't always go completely hand in hand, as we know. Sometimes cars like to get bump and bang around here to get position. It's a very physical and very fast track, hardly removed from an oval in itself, some would say. Drivers just finishing their qualifying laps now. They only got 5 minutes, but plenty of them still set a great time. And as of worth noting going into this race, Dalton Kiro and Zane Bailey just 2 points away in the championship. Every position's going to matter as we cross into the last 5 races of the season. We have our drivers on the starting grid right now. Got plenty of sign-ups to this road race, and we're going to have plenty hit the track. In pole position is Zane Bailey of a 1:11.450. Lined up alongside is Michael Gudger. We've got in P2 with a 1:45. Behind. Aaron May sits in third alongside Mark Arthur in P4. Big gaps in the drivers behind. Ted Rich in fifth. Lines up next to Justin Wayne on the third row. On the fourth, Kyle Wellman sits next to Jordan Young. And ninth and 10th being with by George Rincon and Tanner Ma in 10th.
Going to be back in the P11 here. We'll find Paul Witt in the number 429 next to the number 2 of Lieben Van Leer. Going back into P13, you'll find Bruce Dudley of Mers Sport next to Cody Gibson in that number 1 Cheetos machine. Moving back into P15, Larry Bell, the Canadian, in the 43 is next to Dylan Wilbers in that black and yellow car right there. Mike Campbell is in the 71. He is next to Joshua Burke, part of 4 Performance. Back in P19, P20, this is row 10, is Dalton Kilrow, the Florida native. He is next to Luigi Diaz Gonzalez from the Dominican Republic.
Ready to set a time. Dalton Kilrow is going to have a mountain to climb up in order to get the win here today. Jasper Crawford sits in P21 next to Thomas Lane Jr. in 22. Near the back of the grid is Noah Swafford and Kyle Barrard. I think there's 1 or 2 more rows. Kevin Roy in 25th. Kim Goldmansberger in 26th, with Cody Witt out in last. And we're expecting a largely green race. I've been told there's only cautions in case of severe track blockers around here at Watkins Glen. We don't do the stage racing here either, so we're going to have a long run. A pit stop expected for these drivers, and just over an hour 15 of running out here on the track.
Yeah, we'll wait and see how the pit stops roll out. I was being told by some of the drivers pre-race how we were talking about 22, 23 laps per fuel run. So we're talking a 2-stopper here, right? Because we're going 65 laps around the Glen. So it'll be very interesting. It'll be almost very even on the fuel stops, right? There's very little leeway, I should say, because 23, 46, 69 would be 23 laps a piece on a 66 lap race. Not a whole lot of strategy on the fuel run here. It's going to be who can outbrake who can outrun who, and who is probably the better road course racer. Well, this car in the ARCA car is going to run around the Glen. The Glen, of course, one of the tracks on the service, Howie, where there is no shortened parade lap. These drivers are going to get to take the whole lap around the Glen under pace speed to before we take the green flag.
they get a long time to think about their decisions, think about their driving, and prep themselves for the hard barrel into turn 1, where iRacing gives you an off-track for going too wide, unlike the NASCAR Cup Series. Also, I'm going to redeem myself on the opening, because I've been informed by my lawyer that the name is Derek Watson. I work with you, and I should know better. Well, just a couple drivers left to grid on the track. We got quite a big group out today, and some of them like to make us wait, I like to say. There's always the classic making us wait. I like to think that sometimes they do it for our benefit.
Sometimes, yeah, maybe sometimes they do. Well, let's do this while we are waiting. We have this long pace lap ahead of us. Let's see if I can queue up. Let's see if I can find Zane Bailey. I'm sure he's right in front of me somewhere. And see if we can maybe get some words from Zane Bailey pre-race here. And I don't feel like I see Zane Bailey in the Discord. So let's do this. Let's go and grab someone else here. Michael Gudger, Mark Arthur. Let's do this. Let's talk to someone.
Take your pick. You know it better than me.
Oh, yeah. There's so many names to pick from here. Let's grab Aaron May, and we're going to welcome in here to the Green Flag TV broadcast booth. Aaron, we're here at the road course tonight. Welcome in the broadcast booth. What's the expectations tonight?
Just try to survive. I'm not that great on road courses. I'm actually surprised I qualified third, so that's something, but I'm just hoping to survive this race, to tell you the honest truth.
Seems like maybe there's been a little bit of, despite being a road course, maybe a little bit of I don't know how to say, worked up people this evening so far this evening. How do you think that translates into racing? Everyone calms it down? Do you think there's some beating and banging going on? What do you expect?
I expect a lot of beating and banging tonight. A lot of tensions are rising, so...
All right, well, listen, good luck. We know we got a long pace lap ahead of us here. You want to give a shout out to your team or anyone else?
I'd like to shout out Team SRA, Thomas Lane Jr., Ryan Wayne, and Mike Campbell. Great teammates, and I love racing with them.
All right, well, listen, good luck tonight. We'll put you back down with your team, and we'll see if we can talk to you later.
Thank you, sir.
All right, that is Aaron May. He qualified P3 this evening.
Hasn't quite hit the grid yet. I'm hoping he makes it in time, or he'll be starting from the back. I meant to ask
about that, and I kind of forgot. So let's do this next.
There he comes. There's been a lot of talk by our league admin about making sure people behave themselves on the chat today, and he'd very much like for it to be open so people can call out their pit lanes.
Would be a nice thing, wouldn't it? Let's go do this. Let's also talk to P2 Michael Gudger. Michael, welcome into the Green Flag TV broadcast booth. We're still sitting here on the grid, kind of waiting for things to get started. So you qualified P2 here at the Glen in the ARCA car. Do you fancy yourself a road course driver?
Quite the opposite, I will say, but I've actually practiced for this race a lot, and I feel like I've gotten pretty good because I finally figured out how to read telemetry on Garage 61, so practiced a lot for this race, and I feel like I've gotten a lot better at this, but Zane's pretty fast. I think he'll be definitely a challenger to beat, but other than that, it's just going to be making through turn 1 and just being smooth, saving the tires, and, of course, keeping the pace up. And, of course, navigating lap traffic, because that'll probably be a big factor after the first pit stop.
So you said you put a lot of practice in. What would you say maybe is your best and your worst portion of this track after all your practice?
Probably either the carousel or the final corner is probably my worst. My best, I would say, is S's for sure. That whole first sector up until the bus stop is a very good strong suit for me, so I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Fair enough. Well, listen, thanks for your time. Want to give it a shout out to your team or anyone else?
Shout out to Zane. Zane's always a great guy. Always helps us out a lot. And I hope to see us finishing 1-2 today.
Fair enough. We'll put you back down with your team and 4 performance, and we'll talk later.
Thank you.
All right, that is your second place qualifier. And let's wrap this up if we can by doing one last interview, and then we'll start talking about the race itself here. I have located him. I have found Zane Bailey. Welcome into the Green Flag TV broadcast booth. You put yourself up on the pole tonight, Zane. How you feeling?
Good. I just don't want to get murdered in turn 1.
Well, I suspect it's less likely up on the front. Probably not, guaranteed. But I know your teammate Michael said he put a lot of practice in this week in the ARCA car at the Glen. Or are you in the same boat, or how's your prep been?
Yeah, I put a couple hours of practice in, but I practiced in these conditions, like the 90-degree track temp, so I'm going to be pretty good in it, hopefully. It's just, I just can't make any mistakes. If you make one mistake and wreck spin, you're out, no chance for win.
Well, I know we're about halfway through your pace lap here, so I'm going to let you get locked in and focus. Good luck, and maybe we'll talk after the race. All right, that is Zane Bailey. Put him back down with 4 performance. Well, Howie, a lot of practice went in this week. A lot of drivers, are concerned about maybe the contact here. This is a road course known, as you said in the opening, for a little bit of beating and banging. But right now we're about, I'd say, 3/4 of the way through this pace lap.
At least this one flies by, unlike some of the other road courses out there. Worth noting, carrying through from prior races, end-of-line penalties for Mike Campbell, Cody Witt, and Joshua Burke. They'll all be starting at the end of the longest line. They've used this pace lap to shuffle themselves around a little bit. Only a couple turns to go. I believe we had some discussion about corner names earlier today, and I'm pretty certain that some of these do have names. You have the bus stop, you have the carousel, you have 10 and 11.
Yes.
Maybe that's not a terribly good argument.
No, the 90 would be turn 1. But yeah, there's a few names here. But here we are coming out of the final corners, Howie. These drivers are ready for this pace car to pull down.
Pace car's going to pull in, and it's going to be a dive into the first corner. We have 27 cars to make it through Watkins Glen. Let's hope they all make it out in one piece. I see the green flag in the air and now waving. Zane Bailey on the inside line as we approach our first turn. Here, news of a lane change behind, but they're clean 1 and 2, side by side. Aaron May and Mark Arthur. Looks like May got pushed quite a bit to the inside, but most drivers, they've made it through cleanly. May's been able to clear out ahead of Arthur and Ted Breach. And we're almost 2-3 wide, plenty of rows back going up the S's, but it looks pretty clean for now.
Well, I'll tell you what, 2 wide through the S's makes me nervous as hearing those words, but here we are. Zane Bailey down into the bus stop. Just going to get in there, what some people would call the inner loop. Everyone seems good here so far. 2 wide. Oh, that worked itself out somehow. There's Larry Bell in the black or the blue and red car. But now they come through the outer loop, or some call it the carousel corner. You can get way up off there. That's okay per iRacing rules. You use all that surface you want to. Gets you back down on track here. Then we start heading down into the next couple corners. Here's turn 6. And then turn 7, the right-hander. And they've already completed, well, they're just about to. Here comes Zane Bailey off the turn 7, up against the wall. And Zane Bailey has completed lap 1 of 65.
1 of 65. What could possibly go wrong? Well, we're off to a very, very good start on the track. And there's going to be very little to reset this pack across the course of the race, of course. Cautions very typical in the oval racing, but they're not being utilized significantly here. So there's going to be a lot of separation, and the best drivers are going to be very, very consistent over 65 laps. Here's Dalton Kilroe. He's made up some good positions already. He's P13 after a poor qualifying, and if he wants to make up points in this championship, he's going to be right by Zane Bailey by the end of the checkered.
Yeah, speaking about how spread out this track gets and how there likely is no yellow flag tonight, what that means is those drivers you mentioned in the beginning who have the end-of-line penalty due to some racing infractions from the weeks before, that end-of-line penalty here is a killer, right? I mean, you never want to be end-of-line, but maybe if you're somewhere like a Daytona, even a mile and a half, like a Charlotte or a Kansas, you can kind of make it up. Man, if you're end-of-line at the Glen, you are just so far back. It's going to be just brutal. So unfortunately for those guys, you earn the penalty, you got to serve it, but this is not the week I'd want to serve.
That's the 429 of Paul Witt. He's off the track. Turn around. We'll have to work out whether that one was self-inflicted, and he's been forced into pit road on his way to do so. I doubt he wanted to end up there. Here is replay for Paul Witt.
Going to come to that final corner,
and it is a little bit loose and a little bit self-inflicted on the exit, and he chose the commit line to stay to. That's going to be a strange drive through the pits. I don't quite think completely forced, and I doubt there'll be a stop in the box. I also see more cars coming back. That's your Jordan Young. And that is a wrecked race car. That's a meatball flag. It's come out as well. So we are starting to see attrition already play a factor.
Oh, that car was wildly sideways when you started that replay and cracked the wall. Oh boy, was that kill row maybe that got tagged there at the end? Let's watch the replay in full. Gets up on the curbing. You can't straddle the curbing like that. That's going to be part of your problem right there. Comes up to the S's, right into curb. Yeah, too much curb in this oval car. I can already see it already. Fighting the wheel, look at it. Oh, into the wall, into that wall. And I think outside is going to be kill row that gets tagged, I believe, in that moment.
And I wonder if your Jordan Young's done it again. I just saw another crash tagged as here's his attempt to recover his way to the track and
trying to get around the track. He just needs to stop here.
Not sure that is the NASCAR official way, but that's going to lead to... He's not towed the car yet. He's just trying to get to the end of the line and end of the grid. Another slam into the wall. Unfortunately, that car does not drive well, and he's knocked himself well and truly down to the back and out of this race.
Yeah, that'll be unfortunate for him. Let's go back to the field here. This is going to be back. It'll be P16, P17, Larry Bell, Dylan Wilbers. Bell's the car up ahead in the red and blue. Wilbers behind in that black and yellow. And these guys are fighting out through the bus stop up to the carousel corner. Meanwhile, by the way, new fastest laps were set a couple of times. Michael Gudger, who said he practiced for many, many hours, has your fastest lap at 1:10.623. That's about 0.3 of a second faster than our leader, by the way, Howie. So we'll wait and see what comes of that. Mark Arthur now coming down through the corner. Mark is trying to run down Aaron May, who we talked to in that red, white, and blue iRacing machine. So lots of battles on track here.
Drivers making sure to keep it fast and keep it clean around here near the front. And one of the things about consistency in road course racing compared to ovals is that you kind of get the game of momentum a whole lot less. There's a lot more stopping and starting around these tracks. I'm saying starting like an American. I'm really trying to get into the spirit of your show over here. I hope you understand. But it just means that it's not just about doing it one lap, not just about doing it 2 laps. It's about getting every corner right every single lap. And there aren't too many of the corners around here, but there's still... it takes a lot of getting it right every time for it to work. But Michael Gudger, he is making it to the rear of Zane Bailey, and I wonder if we will see an attempt at some point down the line.
Yeah, these guys are teammates. I expect it to be a little friendlier than it may be otherwise. Here's turns 6 and 7, by the way. Both going to make the right-hand corner, and they'll track out. No one's pitting here. Down the long straightaway into what we call the 90, or turn 1. This is in some ways, the most treacherous corner, especially on restarts, right? Because you never know who's going to pile in. We did pretty well to start here.
That's a lot for Zane right-hander. Zane Bailey has a lot.
That was massive.
Gets himself unstable, and now it's a side-by-side battle up the hill with his teammate.
It's not what I want to be side-by-side.
They're able to keep it clean for now, and it looks like Bailey is going to be given the space to run out ahead for now. I wonder if that was coordinated, but now the chase is on.
Well, coordinated or not was the right call, because side-by-side in and out of the S's is one of the scarier parts of this track. So we'll watch that. Now here's Aaron May. He's up ahead of Mark Arthur, comes down to the bus stop here. One thing that makes this track really scary in these cars, Howie, it's not just about your braking points. It's about how patient you are with the throttle, right? How patient you can be, because there's so much horsepower in this car that if you start slamming that pedal way too soon, you'll spin it around. That's what I think happened to Paul Witt earlier, by the way, right there by the pit road entrance. Probably got a little happy with the throttle out of the corner, and that car just went looping on around. But Mark Arthur is closing this gap pretty quickly on Aaron May. So I suspect maybe down here after the straightaway, we'll see if Mark wants to try and make the move. There it is. And here Mark Arthur wants to try and be patient, wants to try and make the move. He's basically going to clear him before the corner.
And I wonder how many people are maybe getting tricked by the way this car drives on the ovals. There's a lot of very tight sets for some of the major speedways where you sort of can get away with flat-footing it. But this set needs to rotate and move quite a bit more under power in order to get around all these tighter turns. This car's also eventually set up to run Sonoma as well and tracks like that. So this is sort of slow turns and heavy power that are needed, and that's probably what is baiting people. There are times you can get away with the full power, just not on a track like this. The setup is so fundamentally different.
Yeah, I agree with that. And by the way, there are a few drivers in here tonight. Mark Arthur comes to mind. Dalton Kilroe. I think Cody Gibson comes to mind. Larry Bell, who ran these cars on Green Flag TV last Sunday night at Sonoma. Or 2 weeks ago at Sonoma. So some of these drivers have a little bit more road course experience in this ARCA car than others. There was a car parked there. I don't know who that was. I saw this out of the windshield. And that was Joshua Burke, and he is slow. Needs to make sure. The problem is he wants to pit, and he's going to hold up cars where they're trying to pit. Let's see what happens to Burke here up out of the carousel. And that looks good. It's going to make contact. No. Oh, boy. He just got pit maneuvered. Was that the 4 that hit him?
I need to rewatch that one more time. And he gets into a little bit more after this, by the way. So get ready for that Joshua Burke CCTV camera all in the grass. The other car there pushed, and there's a little bit of moving across, but there's a lot of overspeed from the car behind. That sort of totals the car. Joshua Burke's not done here, though. Running slow on the track. This is dangerously slow. I would not run on the track in this condition. Something's about that.
No, I agree with you. Agree with you 100%. The problem is he tried to pit last time as we were going to replay, and he sort of got bugged. This is going to be that replay, actually, where he was trying to get to the pit road here, and just there was people to the inside. Let's see if he decides to finally pit here or calls it a day or what he does. But, boy, that's going to be frustrating for Joshua Burke. You got hit and spun, twice in, 2.5 corners at the Glen.
Dane Bailey. A lot of wrecks are happening while we're watching Rex back, our race leader. Dane Bailey out on the 4.
Oh, no. That's Cody Witt again.
Doesn't let him turn into the corner. Turned around. Sent backwards.
Wow, that's... Cody Witt, I'll just say it out loud. I mean, we need to get a couple replays to determine fault, but Cody Witt's going to be involved in a couple of post-race reviews tonight with the replay committee, because if both of those have the potential, at least, to be named as Cody Witt is the driver at fault. There's the 44, locking it down, doing a good job almost, but then that car had to stick to the inside and the car to the outside, and Luigi's going to fall down the field here.
I'm looking to get even a single moment where we might be able to return to real-time pictures, but so much happened. There's Thomas Lane Jr. in the 38. And it's going to be... he's overcooked it into the bus stop. Bumped into the back by the one, and that's the smash into the wall that will take him down.
Oh, that bump could have gone one of two ways, Howie. I thought the bump was actually going to kind of help, to be honest.
I'm hearing a debate and argument kick off on the voice chat already, I'm afraid. So some chats might get disabled soon. All I know, here's Bruce Dudley. More happening while I'm looking away, of course. And this one, that might just be a self-spin. It's very hard in that sort of position of the track. Able to recover well in time. They keep on flying by. Here's Cody Witt. A lap or two ago. I promise we'll get live pictures soon, but they need to give me a minute of respite around here. This bus stop's proven challenging. Cody Witt's been involved in a lot already.
The bus stop. That's the Thomas Lane lane right there. That's the same thing that almost more. Boy, there's a groundskeeper at Watkins Glen, Howie, who's going to be a little upset after this race. That's your second time someone has dug through the bus stop grass right there. And now let's watch what happens to Cody Gibson. Remember, he gave that bump to Thomas Lane a little bit ago. I thought that bump was going to help Lane, to be honest with you, but they sort of got him more wildly loose. And then Gibson's going to bump. Oh, no.
I think there was contact
Slammed
there.
stabbed the brakes.
I think that's...
Yeah, he stabbed the brakes trying to get checked up, and in the grand scheme of things, not that bad compared to other people here in the moment. Now let's go ahead and check in with Joshua Burke. This is that car that was slow earlier. We saw him get spun, go down pit road, through the bus stop. It's going to hit the wall. Oh, no, he's not going to hit the wall. Oh, boy. I thought for sure that... Oh.
Can you believe it?
I thought for sure that car was headed there.
It's a live picture, and everything has changed on the grid as a result of that. So let's try and break it down a bit. Michael Grudger is the driver that has been involved the least in these, and he's put out 9 seconds from Mark Arthur, who's leading 2 cars like Clyde Pfeiffer, Ted Rich, and Zane Bailey, who we saw lose out in the lead just a little bit earlier. Now going on there, chase down for that second position.
Well, for the moment, Gudger is safe, right? But if you look ahead, even in turns 6 and 7, it's not very far before Gudger finds his first bit of lap traffic. Now, right here you see Mark Arthur. He's 9 seconds behind Gudger. So the only battle Gudger has, honestly, is with lap traffic, right? I mean, look at that track ahead. There's nothing to see there, nothing doing. So if you're Mark Arthur, you're almost praying that this lap traffic holds up the leader.
I've heard warnings of a big wreck on the chat. I'm just trying to work out. I think it involves Joshua Burke. This one would have even been considered caution worthy. This was meatball worthy. This might be Joshua Burke's last ride into the sunset today. Been a challenging day on the track and right in the way.
Oh no!
And,
oh
no!
Oh no!
That's a few victims along the way. And that's a meatball flag. He has his fast repair, but he might get another chance out. Here's Paul Witt as well. I think he may have been one of the drivers caught in this. Yes, he was. Nowhere to go. Tries to aim for the front of an out-control car. That usually works. It just didn't work this time around.
Howie, this race is wild. For a league that has put a lot of focus in trying to clean up some of the racing and trying to make some of this racing a little cleaner, these opening, 13 laps in, there's been calamity and chaos and broken cars and body parts flying, or car parts flying, not body parts yet, flying around this track.
Hopefully not body parts.
Yeah, hopefully not body parts, but wow, like I'm actually in just shocked by some of the wrecks and some of the maneuvers we've seen so far. I know that maybe not everyone here is a seasoned road course racer. I know a lot of oval guys don't enjoy it. They don't want to practice it. Maybe they're not a fan of it. But you got to do something. Like, this has got to get a little bit better than where we are currently. Here's Zane Bailey, by the way, in the 20 in this blue car. Zane always with that just very iconic, that sky blue color on his machine, just getting through the corners here. But I mean, from what I can tell on the grid, I believe we are already 3, 4, maybe 5 cars down. Only 23rd up is on the lead lap, and I think there's a few cars already retired from the race.
Races like this are hard to legislate for if you've built a whole system around your race control. Typically on the oval, say, the SRA series has a system of claiming a caution. You get away with it better if you take responsibility, but when there's no cautions out there on the track, it's a little bit of a free-for-all, and you're relying on each other's good fortune to call out wrecks, relying on your spotter to see him coming, and the race rolls on no matter what, and that's leading to some of the friction we're seeing out here on the track today. 14 out of 65, time it does fly, but there's still plenty of racing to go and a lot of close drivers on the track.
Yeah, we still got probably, I'd say 8 laps before we get to our first set of scheduled green flag pit stops. So still a lot can happen in this race. The drivers up front need to now still navigate pit road correctly. They need to navigate one another correctly. Despite everything we've seen so far, we're not even close to done. But let's see what happens. This is Ted Reichik, by the way, in that car. He was behind Zane Bailey. Now we're back in the field. This is Luigi Gonzalez back in P11, P12. He's trying to fight for spots and trying to make some passes, which he did a moment ago, and trying to get up through the field. Next above him, I believe, will be Tanner Marr in P10. So lots going on. Here's Joseph Crawford, or Jasper Crawford, by the way, in P7. So this looks to be a clean run.
Lots of close battles all over this grid. It's so hard to even find even one to look at any time. I'm just going to try and keep my eye on anything that's close and brewing. Jasper Crawford looking to try and get this P6 off Dalton Kilroe. So up ahead, Ted Wright, very close to Zane Bailey, who's dropped a little bit off the back of Mark Arthur, as Michael Gudger runs away 11 seconds right now. It's dominant form, but consistency and the lack of mistake-making might end up deciding that, much like it's decided Zane Bailey's race. Bit of bad luck, bit of bad fortune, and a couple of mistakes along the way can undo your race.
Yeah, by the way, those 2 drivers right there you saw a second ago in Kilroe and Crawford, both of them up more than 10 spots. Kiro's up 13. Crawford is up 14 spots, by the way, to be up to where they are on the track. Here's his P4 and Ted Reichik. He's trying to make the pass here on Zane Bailey and not able to get there yet. But look how close this has gotten right here. I mean, that is 2, 3, and 4, and they're all within probably, what, a second and a half, maybe a second of each other. That car ahead is not your leader, by the way. That's a lapped car, quote-unquote, in the way. Mark Arthur's going to dig to the right side of the 90, turn 1. That lap car's going to get out of the way, and these 3 cars will go back to racing up the S's.
I'm going to believe it is Ted Reichik. Thank you for saving me there before I just repeatedly trip over my own shoelaces. And he almost did get a move done there on Zane Bailey. He thought better of it when he didn't quite have the run, leaving turn 1. That 1 and 2 complex, one of the best places to get runs, one of the best places to force your way inside of another car, which someone just have to do. If you move someone out of the way without wrecking them, that's just sort of the name of the game sometimes on these stock car road races. You see the back of Zane Bailey's car's already been moved just a little bit around, so you have to be very delicate, and you have to, of course, not make more enemies than you came in with. But this battle's going to remain pretty tight for a while. It's been around 2 temps for some time. Don't think there's lap cars in the way this time around. They're going to cross the line to begin their 16th lap.
Remember, one of Zane said in the interview, his whole goal, he said in his quote, not to get killed, not to get my car killed. Well, that happened pretty early in the race. It knocked you down a couple of spots, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, Howie, if you get knocked out of the way and you go from first to third, you know, yeah, you don't want it to happen, but it could have been way worse, right? You're doing okay. Now Crawford's gotten around Dalton Kilrow, by the way, so both these drivers up a good number of spots on the track here again. And Crawford now gets to control the momentum down into turn 1. There's Ted Reichik. He's now all over the back end of Mark Arthur, as now Zane Bailey has gotten around Arthur. Bailey's back to P2, but still 13 seconds off of our leader. Oh, buddy. Wow, that's Bailey and Arthur almost making contact through the S's. This is a replay, by the way. You see that according to the top left of your screen on the replay indicator. Ooh, that was close. I thought for sure they were going to make contact there, but all's good. Yeah, all's good.
I'll leave my mic unmuted this time. As always, do it once a show. That was indeed a pass, pretty much triggered by a big mistake from Arthur. I saw a meatball flag come out for Jordan Young, and I was wondering what happened. And I think what happened is the engine blew up in the pits while engaged. I think that might have been the cause. It's Mark Arthur losing out again in turn 1.
There it is. There's Mark Arthur. He just gave up the spot. Now it's Ted Reichik bias. Now it's going to be Bailey, Reichik, Arthur in that order. And I'll be honest with you, that felt, I don't want to say coordinated, but that felt intentional. That's for the word I want to use. It felt intentional by the way he got down there. Here's Dylan Weber's. By the way, that car's now missing a front end. It's become a modified car, so he'll be down pit road for a while, getting some
But a black
maybe
flag on
done,
pit entry, by the way. He is now
that may be the last. That may be the least of his problems.
sped on entry. He has the fast repair available, but that's going to now be a long hold in that pit lane, and a lot of positions lost along the way. Drivers do need to stop eventually in this race. I believe you told me that the pit window was around the mid-20s, so we're approaching that phase.
I was told by the drivers, 22 to 23 laps. So we'll see if they were holding some secrets or if they were telling the truth.
Approaching that phase where you can just about get away with these stops and maybe just keep your place. But Dylan Wilbers, he's now sitting there atoning for his crimes. It's a long hold in that pit box. Let me tell you, he's dropping down to the back as a result. Thomas Lane Jr. is all over the rear of Noah Smith, but despite missing the front of his car, he's keeping his car in pretty good fighting range. He might just wait for his scheduled pit stop and then take the fast repair to make that one work for him.
Yeah, I think it's worth noting it's been a couple weeks since this SRA NasClassic League did decide to add the fast repair to the roster, so that is an option that everyone has available to them, is that fast repair. You can use it to basically get all repairs fixed on your car once per race. There'll be a lot of strategy about when that's used and how and why, but up front here, they're now trying to catch Zane Bailey once again, and doing a pretty good job of it.
Getting up to Zane Bailey is one thing. Passing him will be the next around there. As I know it's a bit of a, that's a George Rincon. He's just had a bit of a loose moment of himself and gone off the track and lost the front of that car. And this was another one coming out the bus stop, isn't it? Those curbs are brutal. I would just stay away if I couldn't nail it every time, because they are beating up cars.
Boy, how do you get a car that spins that many times on track? And luckily, no one was around. That is sort of a miracle, because that could have been massively worse than what it was. So that's the good news. Unfortunately, that driver has spun the car and wrecked and likely done, I would assume, at least for a while, if not for the day. But boy, Ted Reichig wants this spot. He wants to get back into Zane Bailey. But the sad thing for both of them is they're still losing time on our leader. Last time by, our leader, a 1:10.925. Both these drivers, 1:11 plus. So not only is Gudger up there by himself, he's pulling away lap by lap.
Keeping an eye on the lap times as the two head around the track, and I think Ted has the speed to make the pass. He just needs to find the opportunity. Just being faster ain't quite enough on a track like this. You need to force the issue. This lap's going to come across the line just slightly faster than Zane Bailey said. It's a big push into turn one, and that might have been contact, and that might not have been the way he wanted to do that.
Wow, that was a very late break, and it's going to put Zane side by side, if not behind. Let's watch this right here. So we can down into turn number one, and it feels like Ted just maybe braked way too late. Watch the moment. He's going to close up really quick here. He's going to make contact. He's going to send Zane up the hill, up in the off track, and then he's going to make this pass right here. Come back to live pictures, and yep, it is Reichig now ahead of Bailey. Mark Arthur's all over the back end of Bailey. I was about to say to you a moment ago, Howie, there's really two ways to make the pass here. You can, actually make the contact, and you can do it that way, or you can sort of pressure someone and make them wonder if you're going to make the contact, and see, it's like playing that proverbial game of chicken about who flinches first. Well, in this case, Reichig, I believe, unintentionally picked the first option.
And that's a big spin for Mark Arthur on the rear. He's overcooked it into the final two turns, and we're just about in the pit window now. You can see on the side of your screen, drivers are making their stops. None of this top four choose to do it for now, but I would have maybe used that as a chance to save face and dive into the pits, because that was a bit of a disaster for any chase he was planning on making. Well,
some drivers, though, may want to stay out here and run these stints, right? Because, we're hearing a couple drivers pitting now, but not all of them. So if you can get any extra laps out of this car, you do it in hopes that maybe you don't find yourself in a fuel mileage race situation at the very end. Mark just, got to the inside there and is not able to hold on to it, and the car loops around back in there in the off-track area.
That gap he spent so long working down, it's now 7.6 seconds. And the chase between Bailey and Reichig continues. Reichig now has claimed that P2 position, but they're about as fast as each other, and I think they both enjoy being the chaser on this track. We might see them chasing each other for quite some time. Michael Gudger, our race leader, dives into the pits. Our top two, will either of them bite? They both will. This is going to be a race down pit lane.
And this, I think, is going to be the ultimate determining factor in this race tonight, by the way, Howie, is pit road, right? Who gets on pit road better? Who can flirt with that speed limit and maybe get a little iota of speed that the other person can't? Who gets off at pit road better? This could be what determines who ultimately wins or loses this race tonight. Penalty, by the way, for Mark Arthur. So we'll wait and see what that's going to be.
He sped on pit road on his way in.
That's going to just be a capper to a really sour few laps here. Dalton Kilroy you saw go by, has not pitted. He has inherited the lead for the moment. So we suspect he'll probably be at the end of this lap, would be my guess here. But here's Bailey off of pit road. He's going to get passed by Reichig. Yep, that's how they're going to come off pit road.
Reichig takes the place back in pit road. And that was a tight chase out, and they're rejoining lap traffic up the road. I don't actually think it's lap traffic. It's Jorge Rincon's damaged car that hasn't stopped yet. He's fully entitled to that place on the road. The last few pit stops flying through. You're seeing rapid fire pit timing on the side of your screen. It will all be over soon. Don't you worry a big train of 4 cars, but Jorge Rincon in the middle here isn't really a part of this battle in the same way. That car is damaged. He's due his stop very, very soon. He's acting as a bit of a roadblock for Zane Bailey, and I don't know if he'll appreciate that, given the chase that he now has to make up.
And that's going to be the challenge. We talked about traffic all night long, could be the story. And once you catch the first one, it feels like then that rotation just never stops. You're never that far from catching another car a lap down and having those kind of moments. But good job by Reichik, by Bailey, and others to get on around that car. Rincon, as you said, not really involved. He's not yet pitted. One, I believe, with 2 cars yet to pit on the track here. There's Dalton Kilroy. He's now down on pit roads. Got the left sides up. Remember at pit Watkins Glen, because of the way we pit, you do left sides before right sides because we pit sort of the opposite side of the wall we typically would. So he'll come down and get his stuff fixed. Here's a car that's broken and beaten coming down pit road. And he's going to come in.
And we follow again the battle up front on the road. Now lap cars in the way. Zane Bailey is absolutely ferocious, and he's looking to try and steal this P2 back. Michael Gudger now 18 seconds down the road. Barring getting wrecked, he's having the race of his life, and he's probably pretty happy that he avoided the worst of the garbage around him, but he'll take it, and he'll take the lead down the road from now. Ted Reichlich and Zane Bailey, they're going to be dueling for the rest of this race.
Yeah, very likely, right? And I don't think Bailey's the kind of driver to use the bumper. He'll just be an intimidator. He'll just be all over your mirror, in your mirror, make it feel close. If he can make you make a mistake, and then he'll move on by. I would be stunned if we ever saw Zane Bailey use a bumper.
He's had the bumper used on him into turn 1, though. Let me make that point clear. Two tough braking zones in turn 1. He's keeping it clean and respectful for now. Slightly different lines leading out of 1. Bailey's going to use the entire curb, which in iRacing you can get 4 wheels up to the edge of that curb. Obviously, in the NASCAR series, you can use the entire off-track surface. One of those things I'd love to see patched. There's a lot of speed coming down this straight, and I think Ted might just be giving this to him. Down the straight, sort of ducks out of the way, comes back. A bad exit out of turn 2, and that swaps the positions.
Yeah, great job here out of turn 2. So I wasn't sure if Bailey would ever catch back up after that big move we saw and that big bit of contact down in turn 1, but he has, and now again out of the carousel they come. Remember, these are fast laps. Howie, I mean, we're turning, what, a minute 11 seconds, minute 12 for most drivers, so basically, I mean, you figure we could probably do at that rate, I don't know, about 55 laps an hour.
Well, it is about that. It was an hour 15 for 65 laps. So about an hour for 55 makes sense. Now about 47 minutes of racing to go, and I don't think we're going to see portions come out on the track at this point. We're going to run this traditionally all the way down the end. Here's Jasper Crawford chasing down Kyle Wellman. He's been around this position for quite some time in that striking yellow 7-up car. I think he's looking to try and take this position back on the road from the 42.
Beautifully painted car, just very bright, very visible, like a spotter's dream, isn't it? You'll be able to see that car from anywhere on the track, no matter where it is. So a beautiful look there. Well, let's do this. Let's ride on board. Let's see whoever one of us like to chase someone out to the Glen. Let's ride on board with Jasper Crawford. Howie and I are going to lay out for about a lap or so. We're going to let the sights and sounds of the Glen entertain you, and let's see if Jasper Crawford can catch Kyle Wellman.
halfway through racing here at Watkins Glen for the NasClassic ARCA Series on Green Flag TV. I'm Howie Burrows, as ever, joined by, I've almost missed you again, but I'm not going to let you down on the spot. It's Derek Watson alongside.
It really is.
And
yeah.
a few things have happened while we were on board, and here's one worth noting. I think we actually missed this just a little bit earlier in the race, but you may have wondered, where's one of our main drivers, Mark Arthur, gone? I think this grass is just getting pulled off. I think it just did. Where did Mark Arthur go? Lap 22 on pit entry is the answer to your question.
Oh no.
The car's in one
Here
piece,
comes
but I'm
Dan.
afraid this ain't going to be entered right. Oh, you can see that was probably a speeding penalty. Just from the
very
way he
likely
slowed
speeding
down on the dot. Big hold, competitive in the race, now dropped nearly to the back, P11 and counting.
That's rough. Also, while we were away, just listening and kind of absorbing the sounds and the sights of the Glen, you also saw that pass, by the way, where we saw Crawford get around Wellman.
Oh,
so that
some
happened.
cars
Here's
in
a car
trouble.
turned around.
That's
up in
all
the
high
kitty litter, isn't it?
Rincon.
Yeah, that's one of our last cars to pit, by the way, in Rincon. So way up high. This is going to be one of the final corners, I guess. This is going to be down turn 6. It looks like. Watch Rincon here is going to get it very deep in, way up in the top.
Whoa!
Oh, that car just snapped to the right. Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna have to check the onboard and sort of see what might
I'm
happen
gonna guess he stabbed the brake, just for the record. Watch the RPMs.
Not a hardware failure. That was a brake failure.
Yep. Yeah, to stab the brakes a little bit, I think, and the car snapped around. And hey, good job saving it. Let's point that out. By the way, that easily could have eaten a wall and been a much bigger wreck than it was for Rincon. So a great job there, getting it saved and back on track, and having a couple of good moves there. Here on track now, this is Lieben Van Leer in the number 2 car. That
He's
black
less
and
lucky.
yellow machine. Nice drift. Stops it. Cars go around.
No,
And
I
up, just
thought
blows it
maybe
from
he
there.
took damage, but he does just choose to tow it from the track, I guess, rather than risk a dodgy rejoin. You deserve extra credit for that, really.
And listen, sometimes when you're road racing, if it's not fun, it's hard to get a driver to keep moving, keep going, right? So maybe he just thought, hey, listen, this isn't fun. You know, I'll just move on, see what happens here. But on track, that's Noah Swafford.
That's what
I've seen
happened
a bunch
on
of
the
cars
onboard.
do that.
That's what happened on the onboard
Wow.
when we saw the cars just disappear. And I did think that car is just sort of like gone. And it really did just disappear from our view. It's like a magic trick.
Kind of did, yeah. I've seen that happen many times in many types of cars at the Glen, where you get up out of the bus stop and just hit at the wrong angle. You touch that curb and up you go. This
Wasn't
is
looking for this
Rincon.
one. Looking for this one.
Again, it's him one. Here we go. Tanner Marr in that car, that black and blue 60 or white and blue 69, loops it through turn 1, sits still.
I think he gets away
Gets
with
it
that.
moving. All's good.
Spin is to spin, and cars are really starting to struggle now on this tough track. Now, I don't know what any of these words mean, I'm afraid, but you're going to have to translate what a 84 Fahrenheit temperature means here to Great British language.
84 Fahrenheit's going to be about, high 20s Celsius for a track temp, I believe. So, of course, look at this here. It's almost 7 p.m. virtual sim time, so a very warm track. So a couple different wiggles almost simultaneous from 2 different cars there. So a warmer track. I mean, obviously not hot. A hot track would be probably 90s or 100s Fahrenheit. That's be 35 or so Celsius. So manageable. But in these cars, with how loose they are, any track temp is almost unbearable.
Yeah, I'm afraid to say it's the 5th of July now, so we're back. That's all I'll say. Luigi Diaz Gonzalez, followed by Mark Arthur behind, who's trying to make up places. He did make it from P11 to P10. He is fundamentally quite fast around here. I think with a good set of laps here, he could easily make some of these places back. And that would, if he could make a top 3, that would be a comeback story of the century.
Yeah,
Dalton Kilroe.
Speaking of 5th of July, it's worth mentioning tomorrow night, a bunch of the drivers you see in this league tonight and some others, Dalton Kilroe, Tanner Marr, Larry Bell, I believe, and some others are involved in a charity race tomorrow night supporting Mission 22. It's an incredible charity that supports troops in their mental health post-service. That'll be a 100-lap ARCA race at Talladega. Myself, Finicini on the call. Dustin Olives pressing the buttons in the background. That'll be a great night. Starts at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, a little bit earlier of a broadcast than we typically on a Sunday. So I'm excited for that, for these guys to get out there and support mental health in whatever way they can.
Trust me, you talk about time of day and what's early for you. Somebody always asks me inevitably what time it is during a broadcast of any event that involves these stock cars, and I am going to plead the fifth and tell you to go look it up. Dalton Gilroy side by side with Aaron May. He's not quite got the run, but he has the inside line. He could use this to force the issue. He's a little bit faster, just a little bit of an outbreak. You don't get good momentum on this inside line. You can force a driver wide. He's not going to. Plenty of space given by both. We're going to trade it for the uphill now. I think you get more momentum on that inside, and that's now finally a clear. We'll see if Aaron May can respond going into the bus stop, but I think that's a lot of speed that's been secured for Dalton Kilroy.
Remember, this is an important field car. Remember, he started pretty far back in the field. He's only had a couple-point lead on Zane Bailey coming into this race. So every pass he can make to get a little closer, a little closer, a little closer to Zane Bailey, or get ahead of Zane Bailey, if he can ever make that happen, is important for that points lead that he wants to come out of this race. So again, here's Diaz Gonzalez in the 44, and he is trying to not hit those walls out of the S's. Did an okay job at it. Meanwhile, behind him is going to be Mark Arthur, who you saw earlier with a speeding penalty, and then Cody Gibson would be the next car in line behind that for position.
If there weren't copyright problems, I'd find a way to play the Jaws theme and the Barbie theme at the same time as Mark Arthur approaches these drivers like a speeding rocket and wants any way through. You know, for all of the little mistakes that have sent him back, he's been remarkably strong and remarkably consistent, and he's one of those drivers to really watch out for today. I think that's Michael Gudger just behind. It is. It's our race leader, Michael Gudger, who we've not seen much of. He's now waiting to try and get around. Mark Arthur uses the bumper a little bit coming into the last turn. It's not quite good enough. Now, wants to give space to the leader. Not quite an obligation to move aside, but if you're the one that wrecks the leader, let's just say you won't be remembered well for it. He's going to race him down into turn one. I think that will finally give him up. I think that's just a network problem, not quite a UF abducting our drivers today. Mark Arthur will get the exit. Going to slow... Gudger will get the exits. But Arthur will be slowed down just a little. Hopefully that speed will be made back up once Gudger starts bothering the other drivers in this chain.
Boy, didn't Gudger say something about I had to practice this track? I didn't know it very well. Well, apparently you did a whole heck of a lot of practice if you can lap your way all the way back around to P10 at Watkins Glen in about 36 laps. So congrats to him on the run so far. Not over yet by any means, but a pretty solid run. There's Mark Arthur's on board for a moment as he's now trying to get back around these cars. Still spots to be made up here. Coming down in these penultimate turns 6 and 7 in the NASCAR layout. I think they're like 11 and 12 if we were to use the boot. Of course, the boot is that part after the carousel. Howie, it's often rumored, NASCAR's often talked about maybe using the boot. They've never pulled the trigger on that, never activated that part of the track. But I for the Cup car specifically, I kind of like this shorter layout.
I like the boot, but I feel like this is the NASCAR track and the NASCAR layout. Which car is that that's gone around? That looks like Jordan Young again. He's had a pretty horrible day, and it's been a lot more. I've chosen not to catch every single incident for every single driver after our little cavalcade of incidents earlier on. There's been quite a few self-spins, quite a few little errors. Was it Tanamar? I think it was Tanamar.
Yeah, I think it was too. We'll wait and see if we can get a replay of that and see what happened. Let's watch Tanner Marr here. That'll be the white and blue machine right here. And he's going to come up through turn one. That's going to come down into turn one. Gets hit pretty well. And just loops it around into the wall.
He immediately disconnects from the session. He's just Alt F4 straight away.
Wow. That said, man, road course racing is hard for oval drivers. And I always say it's hard for oval drivers because the first car you would inevitably typically practice a road course in if you're an oval driver is one of these stock cars. And it is not fun taking a stock car around a road course, right? There are plenty of fun road course cars all throughout iRacing. You start, rookie levels at the Toyota GR86s. Those are fun. LMP2s are fun. GT3s are fun. But boy, oh boy, take a stock car around a road course. If you are a road course purist and you've never tried it, you should, because you'll understand how challenging it is compared to what you used to. The brakes aren't that great. You're braking super early compared to what most other sports cars. The handling is off. It's a real challenge to get one of these ARCA cars around a road course.
I do know some drivers that specialize in racing these stock cars around these road tracks. They like a car that fights them and abuses them and hates them. And if you like it too, you might like the addition later this year of the NASCAR Euro Series cars. I got a slightly early tip-off to the introduction of those cars to this game. I was at the Brands Hatch circuit for the Euro NASCAR round, one of the rounds, I don't know the round number, but I was at there. I noticed on one of the cars, it was literally like in late June, and I noticed an iRacing contingency on the cars, the car in Victory Lane, and I was like, these cars aren't in iRacing. Why do they have an iRacing contingency? And then literally 2 weeks later, it's announced that they're coming. They are a stock car road series. They're a little slower than ARCA cars. They're sort of like late models of extra steps, I'll be totally honest, but they do provide some very physical and very tough road course racing. I'm looking forward to giving them a shot and crashing in them and crashing out and blaming the car. That's usually how I do things, but I like the principle. I support the principle.
Yeah, we'll wait and see how those come out and how much fun they can be. That'll be exciting. Here's Paul Witt. By the way, saw him have that incident pretty early in the race where got turned around and went down pit road. So maybe not the best of nights for Paul back in P16. 1 lap down, as is, I'd say, more than half the field. We're looking at up to P8, and Mark Arthur is being a lap down. It's P7, Kyle Wellman up. That is on the lead lap. Now, right now, we're getting close to lap 40, Howie, so it means we're not that far, maybe 4 to 8 laps away from your second set of pit stops. These are the money stops. Any mistake you make here, you're not likely going to ever be able to make up. Speeding, whatever have you, don't do it because it's going to be detrimental.
What I find interesting is that the number 25 doesn't divide properly yet twice into the number 65. Hopefully those at home can follow along and work out how that works. And if you can, you'll realise, wait a second, that's not one stop. And we've had our one. We're going to have our second. Maybe some drivers can make this stint stretch. And if they can, they can come out the other side on that third one and possibly going to jump on the field. Those who didn't think about it could end up in trouble.
Yeah, we talked about that. A couple of drivers who pitted right at the 22 number. I was concerned about, if they'd make it all the way through again and again. So we need to wait and see what happens here. But working on back, this is Paul Witt. Up ahead of him for position would be Jim Coleman'sberger. Behind him, Mike Campbell for position. So we'll wait and see what happens with this battle here.
Clean pass by Paul Witt. I think Paul Witt just made the pass. I might be wrong. It could have been. No, he did just make the pass, and I think
Yep, that was good. Passing Coleman'sberger, you're right. And Coleman'sberger moves way to the inside here because I think there's some other lead lap cars coming through, and he just doesn't want to be in the way. That's Gudger, I believe, right there.
Gudger is inevitable. He shows up on the track, whether you like it or not. Time to take your positions away from you. Well, and take the laps away from you, really. Maybe getting your laps taken away is how you can make the fuel run on this race. Take a look at some of the drivers.
Maybe if you're not having a good night, maybe having laps taken from you is not a penalty. Maybe you're just thrilled to run one less lap here at the Glen.
I have in the past in iRacing sprint races deliberately gotten laps taken for me just to make it on field. I've been that person, and I've been cocky. Oh, Larry Bell, big miss into turn 1, and that's not how that car should be running. I think that seemed a little bit slower than usual. Everything okay? I think it is Dylan Wilbers making our first pit stop of the second cycle, and I was gonna note some of these hard charges on the field because there's one that stands out, of course. It's Dalton Kilroe. Championship leaders don't end up that way for no reason. 15 places from failing to set a clean qualifying lap on the grid. Now, his points are very, very respectable, even if Fish is behind Zane Bailey. He's easily within breathing distance, and it's not a case of a tragedy where I'm 20 places back and I've got a lot to make up. Absolutely one of the stronger drivers on this field, and he lives to fight another day of a finish like this.
Yeah, doing a great job is Kilrow, and of course, Kilrow, one of those drivers who loves this ARCA car, races at 3, maybe 4 nights a week. 3 nights a week on Green Flag TV Saturdays with this league here, this SRA NasClassic, Sundays with Blazing Pedals, and Mondays with the High Tide Racing League. All those available here live on Green Flag TV when they air Saturdays, Sundays, and Mondays. And Dalton does more than that, I believe, honestly. I think one more league possibly on a Wednesday with the ARCA cars. So when you race the ARCA car that often, Howie, or any car, it doesn't matter if it's an ARCA car, a GT3, whatever, if you race it 4 nights a week, you eventually you will be good at it.
ARCA cars, one of those stock cars I didn't really get on with myself. I'm a bit of a dyed-in-blood Gen 4 driver, and this is a Kyle Berard, and no, don't adjust your picture. That's what's been happening. He picked up a meatball flag, and I was curious how he did it, and I guess we're never going to find out. I think those are some pretty horrific internet issues, of course. One thing I think maybe he may have been sent to the pits for connection issues. On my end, they show as meatball flags when you're sent for connection issues, so that may have just been what happened. It's now been cleared, and I'm getting hundreds of messages about him towing to the pit. Please make the voices stop. Please get the internet cable working properly, because otherwise you ain't hitting that track again. As it stands right now, he's blinking in and out.
Yeah, in and out. So 23 laps to go. So the pit window is definitely open from here on out. We think we started 22 to 24 laps maybe on a fuel tank. So anyone who pits here should feel comfortable to do so. You look up and down the field, and it's no one from the top, 18 or so has pitted yet. I think it's going to be a little bit further back before you see anyone on pit road. Take that back to the 16th. Dylan Wilbers has pitted, but I think that's the only person possibly to have pitted in that group right there. So here's the call. Paul Witt this time by. This will likely open the floodgates in the next lap or so.
As before, it started from some of the drivers up further down, although Zane Bailey, I think, has made the call as well. He's the top driver of this pack, taking a very, very early blink and a very, very early pull into the pit lane. A big lock-up. Paul Witt takes a black flag on pit entry. It looks as if Zane Bailey got away with it despite that scary-looking entry. This is quite an early stop, trying to undercut the rest of the field on tyres. Might not be able to catch guys of this race, but holding on to this P2, his gap is quite significant, but you're going to need some long-run pace and no mistakes to keep that out ahead. I've been watching Mark Arthur, obviously, throughout this race. The last time we caught him in P10, he's now in P8 and P7. It's going to be given to him for free there by Kyle Wellman, who moves a little wide through the carousel. So Mark Arthur started from the bottom, now we're here. He's done a fantastic charge. There's a few drivers in contention with the driver of the race today, really.
Well, the concern for Mark Arthur is you made a hard charge after that pit road speeding penalty, and you know what's time to do again? Come down pit roads. You got to do it better this time than last time, or all of that work you have made up here in the last 10, 15, 20 minutes is all for naught, right? Because it's all going to get thrown away. Back on track, this is Zane Bailey. Zane just pitted, so he's now trying to run down Joseph Crawford. This is the battle for P5, P6 on track, with Crawford, of course, being in P5, attacking that bus stop. Here is a replay, by the way.
Thomas Lane Jr., I think something happened there. There's only one way to find out, unfortunately, and that's to pull the trigger and find out Paul Witt has served that penalty. And I saw it driving slowly, and I saw a tow. I saw a tow to the pits. That's the key to this.
Well, made it through the bus stop. Okay, I was a little concerned with how aggressively we were riding the curves. Oh, hello.
Yeah,
wow.
I thought maybe it wasn't going to happen, and then suddenly we're treated to a wonderful surprise. And that is a flying car. He just goes from that position. Let's just get your pit stop done with a penalty, I guess.
There you go.
Drivers now filtering through. Let's try and get the stint length on the screen so you can have an idea here as to who has done their stops and who hasn't. Like Gudger just successfully made his stop, leading as expected on the road. And now we should have a very clean run to the end. Black flag for Mark Arthur. Why did you say it? He got his black flag again for speeding in the pit lane, and that is the end of his day.
Yeah, that's going to be a painful, right? Spent all this time making up all that time on track. Just throw it away again. Watch it here. This is on board with Mark Arthur. It's going to come through turn 6, make the left-hander. A little bit of a straightaway here. Turn 7, you make the right-hander. And let's see what happens. Is it speeding? Yeah, he's inside the lane.
It might have been just slightly over barely over. All I know is that there's a whole penalty. Kyle Wellman's not going to make it into the pits properly. He sort of loses control coming in, and he actually has to abandon his entry. Ryan Wayne takes a black flag on entry too.
No. Let me look at the scoring for Kyle Wellman. I have a concern. No, he got away with it.
Yeah, he gets away with that.
Because I was convinced he had tipped that car beyond the commitment line and then pulled back out of pit road. But no, he's good. He got away with that one. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, he didn't really get away with it because he spun the car around and lost a lot of time.
Oh.
But I thought maybe a black flag was coming for unsafe pit exit.
Hey, just about gets away with it. He's on the line, touches the cone, but it's not a physical cone. Ryan Wayne and Mark Arthur having to sit in the lane and think about what they've done. Arthur gets away, though, losing fewer positions. He's only going to have lost about 2 or 3 on this run. He comes out P11. Same place he was last time, but he's lost less for it.
Yeah, it's going to be behind further than he was last time. Here's Larry Bell, by the way, coming up through the S's. Now it's going to make the left-hander. In a moment, he'll make the right-hander, and they'll be good right there. He'll track back out all the way up, and Crawford's going to get on by, so he's not going to track out all the way.
Here's Crawford for P5, who's going to be let by Aaron May. Both running the same strategy. Kyle Wellman with a black flag on pit entry. He's blinking so much, though, I'm not even going to try looking. He seems to be dropping in and out of existence. Still more calls. The 11's coming in next. Almost
these
the
are the
whole
calls
field
that are
done.
a little later than I think we thought, Howie. I mean, 19 to go means you stretch this out pretty far. That means you will have the ability to go on this last run, right? It means you're in the ability to really just get into it and have no concerns, no fears, no whatever about fuel. There's Dalton Kilbrough off of pit road.
Aaron May getting past lap traffic on the way to chase down Crawford. He might not be done, but he has been consistent and slower across the race. 4 tenths slower on the fastest lap. Going to be an epic chase to stay within range on this track today. Yes, Gonzalez, some significant distance behind on the track. Notice how many are on the lead lap at this point. It's only 6. Aaron May is our last lead lap car in P6.
Whatever word you want to use, like sharked, swindled, fooled, hoodwinked, whatever word you want to use. I think Michael Gudger. I'm sorry, what?
Bamboozled.
Bamboozled? Yeah, that's a good one. I think Michael Gudger did it to the field. I mean, he said, I've not driven with that much. I had to go practice. My friend, you have lapped all the way up to P6. You're 15 seconds up on Zane Bailey and your teammate. You're walking with the race. You have the fastest lap of the race. For someone who supposedly hadn't done a whole lot of laps and had to practice, it doesn't show that right now.
Well, it's just been effortless up at the front, hasn't it? I wonder if he's getting bored of running this the way he has. He has 20 minutes of running to go now. Make that 17 laps of the track. And he'll be home free, a very strong race winner. And he's not actually usually a championship contender, sitting in P10 right now. Will be a nice push. 84 behind the leader. Several positions to be made up, though, to win breathing distance off.
Yeah, this would be a great run and points for him. And Dalton Kilrow about points, who wants to get up here, would love to catch up with Zane Bailey. Kilrow, after that stop, is in P4. Bailey's in P2. So Kilrow's done a great job. He said a couple of times from up. I mean, now 15 spots on the day. Behind him, Jasper Crawford, by the way, who will appear in the very back of that shot, possibly back there somewhere, is up 16 spots on the day. Luigi Gonzalez up 13. 3 drivers in the top 10, all up 10 or more spots.
It's getting quite hard to follow race events with the amount of toe to pit messages coming out of Kyle Barad. I've never, as a commentator, asked for a black flag before. It's not my role, but please, put me out of my misery. That car has been doing nothing but blinking in and out in pit road. And every time it blinks, I get an event that says toe to pits. Every single time. You know, I don't think that car wants to be here. I think that car wants to be somewhere else. It's trying to get out of here.
Yeah, something like that. But back up front here, this is Dalton Kilroe. He is trying to chase down Ted Reichik and take over P3. Kilroe's going to try and set up in turn 6 here. It's going to lay back. I suspect Kilroe knows his best chance to make the pass would be turn 1. But boy, Reichik got a little wild there, and Kilroe almost made the pass to the outside. Now Kilroe sets to move to the inside. Reichik tries to block it. These guys are going to be deep into turn 1 if they're not careful. Neither one's going to be in a good spot. They're both kind of drifting left. Kilroe says, hey, I want that spot. Oh, no.
Oh, that's going to end in tears and flying through, actually, is Mark Arthur. But I saw those cars bumping and banging, and I thought they are not going to give any quarter to each other. That is turn 1 Watkins Glen Racing. Let's take another look on board. Let's zoom out just a little bit more. And, I mean, this is just how it is. 13 to 41. The cars sort of get glued together a bit. No, what? He's just clearing himself. There's a car there. Oh, no.
I mean, it's on both of them, with all due respect. It's, you know, Mark Arthur barely made a little bit of contact with the back end of Kilroe there, and Kilroe got away faster. But that's on both of you. I mean, that's on both of them. Sorry. Reichik says I didn't touch him. I see a replay that begs to differ. But I mean, why are you blocking like that at the Glen? That's not going to work. It's disappointing.
I was just wondering if the car getting knocked away sort of like sent its trajectory into the other car, but then I don't crash into enough people at Watkins Glen to know. So your read might be more accurate on that one, all things considered.
There's just no need. There's no need to block that way. Like, there's no need to block one down to the pit lane wall like that at the Glen. Like, that's not going to go well for anyone. Part of road course racing. Oh,
what are we doing?
Part of road course racing is about being predictable and about just doing what's right and running your race. And you don't do that stuff in road course racing, man. You don't block someone to the wall like that.
One more shot of this from the other car, able to catch this between, and this is a squeeze. That's okay. This is a squeeze,
and that's absolutely a squeeze. And then Kilroe, you know what? Kilroe tries to get himself up there because Kilroe knows if he doesn't try to move up to the left a little bit, that he's going to get just swallowed by turn 1. Now you could argue that Kilroe could have backed out, but that's a little bit on both of them, right? Again, I said this earlier. This league has put a lot of effort into cleaning up the racing, cleaning up the driving, cleaning up some responsibility claimed by drivers, a lot of other factors. This race, despite being a road course, is not proof of that.
I mean, this is one of those very physical tracks where sometimes your inner animal can get out and it can turn any race into a little bit of a scary one, let me tell you that. And Ted, after that incident, that second spin, he's now back in 6th, well away from human civilization, perhaps. And the last car on the lead lap, Michael Gudger, isn't miles off getting the lap job done here, actually. And it's just that Larry Bell appears to have disappeared from our plane of existence.
Yeah, you're right. I would have to think after the issues between Reichik and Kilroe that one of those two, if not both now, could be at risk of getting a lap. Let's watch Larry Bell here. He's going to come up here through turns 6 and 7 and hits the wall.
I don't know if something significant happened here. I think maybe it was a really big spot of lag. We'll just we'll put it down to big spot of lag gets caught on the graphics, and we'll move on because he is back. He does appear to be. Yeah, he's just sort of disappeared in P13 out of our plane of existence.
Yeah, but I would think after that issues between Reichik and Kilroe that one, if not both of them, could end up being lapped before this race is over. So we'll see how far up the field, Gudger decides to go with the lapping cars. If at any point he decides to kind of back off and run his race and just kind of not put himself in weird positions. But I mean, so far, this has been the Michael Gudger show. I mean, he qualified on pole. He's led, I think, nearly every lap, if not every lap of this race. And had that small bit where Zane Bailey led, so it's not led every lap, but led a good majority of the laps.
Our road course hero only has a little bit of road course practice, he claims. We'll let the audience decide on those ones. Maybe he's psyching us up, or maybe he's psyching us out. Maybe he actually did do a lot of valuable practice, or the most viable, maybe he just has a really good gaming chair. It's always a very viable explanation, though, put it like that. You know, you never really know the advantages. Look, it looks like he's going to be coming up now on Ted Reikick to claim another.
Yeah,
He's that competitive.
And Reikick, ever since that contact with Kilrow, that car's hurt. You can see it just kind of behaving poorly, kind of getting up into things, maybe just not as fast as it once was. So that contact that him and Kilrow had, that was really self-inflicted for both of them to an extent, has really hurt. So now Reikick now goes one of the cars a lap down. That means next Aaron, May, and P5 would be the next victim in line, with now 11 laps to go at the Glen. The question is what'll happen. The question is how far up can Gudger get. Remember, every time you're Gudger and you pass a car lapping them, you're kind of putting yourself at risk, right? You're kind of putting yourself at risk of something silly happening, not even on purpose, just accidental contact. At a certain point, listen, if you're 16 seconds up on P2, maybe decide just to back up and not put yourself in those spots.
Well, it's the fun to be had in staying behind people on their own when you might just be able to gap the field. That could be a point of pride. You make very rational points about preserving your own race, and maybe he should just respond with, well, I'm enjoying the thrill. He could respond with that. On July 12th, 2025, same time, same place, the Charger 120 at Darlington Raceway. We go back to the ovals, but it's not going to be an easy one for any field to get around. The brutal Darlington Raceway, one that I can't string a lap to ground in an MX-5, will be our host, and that's going to be a scary one. Season approaching its end now. Only trips to Charlotte, Dover, and Michigan to finish off the championship. It's getting close, and you can catch it all on Green Flag TV.
Yeah, and of course, not a surprise as you say that this thing is already announced. Next season will be the Gen 4 cars. We're going to move away from the ARCA cars into those newly released Gen 4 cars. So we'll see that happen. Here's Zane Bailey now. He's going to come down through turn 1, get his way up through the S's. Bailey now about 15 seconds. The good news for Bailey, in a way, silver lining, the gap's not growing between him and Gudger, right? He's really kind of on pace with Gudger. I mean, lap by lap, their lap times are almost identical. So you're not losing any more time. You're also not gaining any time.
Trying to find any battles that could be presenting themselves, and it's getting harder, but Luigi Diaz-Gonzalez is running very, very slow. Almost a second slow in that first sector. The gap went down from 1.4 to 0.4 in turn 1 and 2, and that doesn't happen unless something is wrong with the car ahead. Cody Gibson now in position to make a hard charge. Looks like Luigi's car's back on pace. Now we start to pull away again. 9 to go for Michael Gudger. Little bit of lag there from Luigi up ahead. He's been held up here by a lapped car this whole time. That's been what's been causing the slowdown, and he's trying to get the pass done. This 39 of Brian Wayne struggled to cooperate for a while. Both cars now made it through. We now have a chase. This is for P7.
And if you're Cody Gibson, that was great news for you, right? Because Gibson probably made up a lot of time there from that other car holding up Luigi as it did. And Gibson had every chance to kind of close some of those gaps and make better corners that he could make on his own, while Luigi was being held up side by side in traffic. But we'll see if he can catch up here. About 9 laps, almost 8 laps to go at the Glen, as the leader now is not that far from crossing the line. Once again, marking it 8 laps to go. About another, 10, 11 minutes of racing before Michael Gudger could be declared a victor here.
It's going to take something extraordinary for Michael Gudger, I think, to lose this place. I've been looking around the pack to see if there's any more incidents. Kyle Barad did finally get his car sent to the pits for the connection issues, and finally did decide to retire it. That car wasn't going to kick back to life anytime soon, I'm afraid. And not much has really been happening now. A lot of the field's been whittled down, and a lot of the most anxious, those catchy drivers around here have sort of been cleared out, and now a lot of people are just running their own race for themselves. A couple off tracks here and there, but no major disasters on the track.
No, a lot more clean track now. You can kind of run your line. You can race the racetrack and kind of worry about yourself. With some a lot less cars on track. Last I looked, we're down to 16 cars on track. That means we've lost I believe, 12 cars in the process. So we've lost 12 cars, and we have another only five, on the lead lap of those 16. So kind of shows you how this race is headed.
Only 5 on the lead lap, and Aaron May is left. Let's take a look at the gap. Oh, Michael Gudger, I think, is potentially in range to maybe take the next one off. That is next car down the road. You can just about see it. It's kind of hard. That is Aaron May's car. If we get the gearbox of Aaron's, he's entering turn 1, so they can't quite see each other from each other, but they know it's coming soon. Cody Gibson struggled to make up the time on Luigi Diaz-Gonzalez now down to back up to 1 second that gap. It's about sitting in this bubble, but that lapped car may have just been a temporary disturbance for Gonzalez, who is now running away again.
Yeah, doing a great job in running away. And there you see that Cheetos car of Gibson. Gibson runs a couple nights a week. You'll see him, I believe, tomorrow night in that Freedom 100, the ARC race we'll have about mission supporting mission 22. So excited to see him run once again. But yep, on back there's Gibson. There's the car on back. So I just love how much space there is here, man. There's a few laps left. No need to be aggressive. No need to do anything silly. Everyone, I suspect most people, after how tiring it is to run this car in this track combo, are excited for this race to be over.
I think even our race leader, Michael Gudger, is going to be happy for this one to end, because you need to be so perfectly concentrated, and there's almost no such thing as a perfect rhythm. I see some, there, I saw some brake smoke up ahead, and I thought, there's no way Luigi spun it around, and he did!
Yep.
Here it comes, going into the bus stop, and that's just the one mistake that's going to eat up that position.
Yep, certainly is, isn't it? Going to give that spot away, and unfortunate for him.
Should be able to catch his car coming through now.
I believe Jorge Rincon will benefit from there.
And would you look who it is? Mark Arthur. Take the P10 from Jorge Rincon and move up to Luigi Gonzalez now. Might be difficult to do in the time remaining.
Can I say what that says for Mark Arthur as he just kind of scrubs the wall there? How talented of a road course driver Mark must be, by the way, because most people who eat 2 speeding penalties in the same night, under green, no way to make those up on time, just having to race your way back. What does it say about you as a road course racer that you're able to get back to the top 10 both times after doing that?
Well, he'll also be ruining the day he could have had, I think. This could have been an extraordinary finish for him in the championship, and instead he's just going to sit in the top half, in the top 10, but it's just a game of, I was fast here today. And he was fast here today. A 1:11.025 his fastest lap. Only 2 drivers got below the 1:11. Our top 2, Gudger and Bailey, got 1:10.6s. Arthur so close to claiming that for himself, so he's probably third, fourth fastest driver around here, but he's just been let down. We're getting pit stops from some of those drivers that failed to stretch their stints properly. Here's Ted Wright.
Yeah, and Ted probably, who knows about the fuel strategy alone, but possibly just with some of the damage to the car, the tires may be eaten up. He may have, just be out of options here, and realizing it may just be better to get down here, get whatever you need and go up there and just finish the race.
I think he just sped on the way to his box.
No, that's
not on the entry,
for him,
but no speed limiter on these cars, and he just dipped it over mid-lane.
Long stop. 4 to go here. This race, unfortunately, kind of decided, it feels like, for most spots. The closest battle I can see in the lead lap is just Jasper Crawford, Aaron May. That's 7 seconds apart. That's not even really a battle, but Kilroe is pretty far back. Zane Bailey's 15 seconds back. And, again, Gudger has just put on a clinic here at the Glen.
Only 4 minutes of running for Gudger on this pretty faultless race indeed. Aaron May sits in P5, due to lose his lap anytime soon. Very, very few have been able to stay on the pace of Michael Gudger long enough. Ted Brackett finally leads and hits in P12. after a racer where at one point he was running up near the front, but ever since that incident, it just started to unravel for him. Now, hope this pass is made easy.
I hope this pass is made easy too. Let's wait and see if it does, or if Gudger decides to make it. Gudger may say, "Hey, listen, we're 3 to go at the Glen. You know, maybe I don't need to make it." I think he's going to see. He's probably on a path to see how many people he can lap. But if he thinks this pass is dangerous, or if it's just not comfortable, he may back out of it and just be happy riding just where he is. There's another car down pit road. That's Dylan Wilbert. You see on the timing on the right side of your screen. So another car who could not make it there or had to come down pit road for one reason or another. Here's the pass. So we Gudger down to the bus stop, and Aaron May will lift and just let him on by. And we're through the bus stop. Up on the curbs pretty hard, though.
That's another place. Only 4 drivers remain, and that's Jasper Crawford in that yellow car. There's some distance between the two. I think he might get away with this. Has something happened to Mark Arthur on the track? I think something could have happened to him, because I've seen a few alerts. I've seen a few positions move. Let's keep an eye on this and see if my eyes deceive me or not. It's also sometimes network issues can trigger these incident reports, so you never really know, but I can see a lot of shaking and moving on that field.
Well, nothing yet so far. Let's wait and find out here. This would be a good spot.
Oh,
there it is.
Tokyo Drift.
There it is.
And the snap.
Both ways.
That was almost a sick drift, and then it just sort of snapped the other way. Positions lost to that one, and it's a race of potential for Mark Arthur. That's all I can say. Brian Wilber's chasing down Ryan Wayne up ahead, and Jorge Rincon is on the back of Mark Arthur, as there's a car trying to lap between them all. Michael Gudger has 2 to go. There'll be the white flag very soon.
Yeah, very soon. We're about a quarter of a lap here. We've got 1 to go. A little bit of a battle of beating and banging behind.
And all it's going to take now are just a few more turns. Barney waves the white flag on what's been one of the most faultless races you can have on road. Everything's come together for Gudger on every last turn of this track. And it's only just a small while to go until he's able to claim a full complement of points and some real accolades from the league for domination on a level we didn't even know could be possible around here. He's been
maybe some
fastest
accolades, maybe some harassment from the league for all that words you said about not, I've never driven the racetrack before. I don't know the racetrack. Well, data does not prove that.
It's the gaming chair. We need to get tech inspection on the gaming chair. We need to see whether that's illegal, doesn't follow the rules. It can happen. A great shame. Action's detrimental. We're going to have to give this win to Mike Campbell instead, I'm afraid. But until that time goes by, we can definitely call Michael Gudger our winner as he crosses the final turn and he finishes this race in spectacular fashion. Michael Gudger wins at Watkins Glen.
That's a win, domination, a walk-off, whatever you want to call it, whatever sports analogy you want to use. That's what Michael Gudger did. That's amazing.
One of the NasClassic wins of all time. One of the most dominant, perhaps. But road courses let you do that without the yellows. They let you just stay out, up, in front and ahead. If you're good on the track and no one gets in your way, nothing can stop you. Only 4 cars finish on lead lap because Aaron May did get past at the very last opportunity. He lost a lap of running on the track. Dane Bailey finishes in second. He's already jumped off the circuit. He wants to be anywhere but on his sim rig right now. Dalton Kilroe, it's in P3. Jasper Crawford finishes 4th. May in 5th, and Cody Gibson in 6th. We'll do a whole rundown of the results in just a minute, but I think some burnouts might be due. It better be. He's earned them.
He might not have the gas for him. Let's wait and find out. See what he's got here. We'll see what Gudger does. Going to have a little bit of a push on back. We'll see what happens here. Move some congratulatory bumps.
It's not looking good for him, is it?
He might, I don't know. He might just be enjoying the lap. He might be enjoying the cooldown. Wanting to get around here. A couple last corners to make this his turn 6, of course. Up the straight in the turn 7. See if we can get it back around here. But you're right, pretty low RPM, so who knows what, if anything, Gudger has planned. Your race winner came in here. Teammates of Zane Bailey are someone who's trying to run down the points and trying to take the points lead. But Gudger, the teammate at Ford Performance, who's going to walk away with the win. Let's see if he burns it down at the Glen.
He has enough in the tank to make it happen at the very least. Yeah, just a little bit of saving on the line, and that's able to make it work. Dalton Kilroe, time from 20th to 3rd. 1 place behind Zane Bailey means the championship fight is still on. There'll be only 3 points separating them after this race.
Yeah, that'll be exciting to see what we do with the points after we see how they run. So congrats to Dalton on getting back up there in the spots. Congrats to Gudger on the burnout. It's been a pretty fun race.
Had a bit of everything. I have to shout over the car. Oh, it's loud. I have volume controls and I'm still complaining. We've had a little bit of everything. We've had a bit of carnage. We've had some good racing. We've had a bit of drama. We've had a lot to unpack for the league, as you seem to get every single week. Season coming to a close, and I think we're going to see an epic finale, but Michael Gudger, he's going to enjoy this while he has it. Let's take a look at our final results before we pull in for some interviews. I know how to do this, so I just am a little... There we go. That does it. Michael Gudger leads 14 seconds over Zane Bailey. Dalton Kilroe makes it all the way up to P3 from over 20th on the grid. Jasper Crawford last on the lead lap ahead of Aaron May, Cody Gibson, Luigi Diaz-Gonzalez, Mark Arthur, Jorge Rincon. What does that even mean? It doesn't mean anything. And Ryan Wayne.
Going back into P11's Ted Reichig. We saw a ball incident earlier. He's got Dylan Wilbers behind him, Jim Colemansberger, Paul Witt, and Mike Campbell round out your top 15. Then Larry Bell, Kyle Wellman, Thomas Lane, Kyle Berard, and Tanner Marr round out your top 20.
Few more cars made the grid. Noah Swafford, Liban Van Leer, Jordan Young, Kevin Roy, Bruce Dudley, Cody Witt, and Joshua Burke. Finishing off this grid, and I'm hearing complaints about blocking on road courses on the voice chat. I'll just put it like that. Do we pull the drivers straight out of their channels? Is that how we do things around here?
Yeah, let's see.
The waiting room, the podium waiting room. Michael Gudger's already available for us, so
let's do that. Let's do that. Let's go and pull him on in and welcome in to back to the broadcast because Michael Gudger. Michael, I have a bone to pick with you. Now, pre-race, you told me, I'm not that great here. I had to practice. I had to learn the track. And you hoodwinked, bamboozled, you sharked us, but you walked away by like 20 seconds on the track. So now explain yourself.
It was going to be me and Zane the whole race. It was going to either be me or him, and then just an unfortunate incident that lap car into turn 1 and took Zane out, and Zane just fell so far behind and got a little bit of damage from it that he just couldn't keep up, just couldn't make up the time, and ended up losing like over 20 seconds because of the damage, and it sucks for him. He was really good and probably would have won the race if that lap car hadn't happened, but glad to finally be back in victory lane. Haven't been in victory lane in IEL in I think over a year, and almost a year, so glad to finally snap that winless streak. But yeah, great race today. Really was not expecting to win on a road course, but if you know me, you know I am not a fan of these kinds of cars on road courses, but everything worked out today, and hopefully I really like Darlington. I'm really good at Darlington, so hopefully we'll come back next week and maybe make it back-to-back wins.
Well, all kidding aside, congrats on the performance today. An amazing, dominant job. I mean, you lapped your way all the way up to P4. One of the few people I think is going to walk away not upset tonight.
You are certainly correct. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Well, listen, great job. Great win. And we'll talk to you soon.
All righty. Thank you.
All right, that is Michael Gudger. Let's go ahead and pull in. Let's just grab his teammate Zane Bailey. We're just gonna yank Zane right into the broadcast because he does not show up for the waiting room. Let's welcome in Zane Bailey, finishing P2. Well, Zane,
He doesn't want to speak to us today.
Doesn't want to speak to us, I guess. All right. Well, listen, why don't you go ahead then and catch up with P3 and we'll wrap the broadcast. Why don't you go ahead and catch up with Dalton Kilroe?
Dalton Kilroe from nearly the back all the way up to the front and in championship range again. Talk us through that race.
Yeah, that was definitely interesting. I know it wasn't the cleanest race, which, you know, I don't like doing any of that. I don't like running into cars, don't like damaging anything, but, you know, hey, it is what it is. I was still able to recover, come back, hold on to P3, and just come home with a good result when I completely screwed up qualifying and had to start from the back, like you mentioned.
Well, making your way through traffic, did this track feel natural to you, or did you need to do a lot of practice going in?
Practice definitely helped. I didn't really do anything before the actual session practice went live. For me, it just gets me into like a bad habit because the weather's going to be a little different most of the time. So I just like to start once the session starts. But I still did a fuel run and a half in the practice before the qualifying even started. So I just knew just staying consistent and trying to keep it on the tarmac, asphalt, whatever you want to call it, was going to be good. And did that for most of the night, and again came home with a P3.
There was your championship odds almost fell apart after qualifying, but they're right back on it again. You're still within points distance. Are there any other thank yous or shout outs before we wrap up the show?
Well, I got to thank the rest of my teammates who, according to some people, I need to get better teammates, but I think they need to stop crying. I got to thank you guys for doing the broadcast for us, the league admins for putting the league on, and everybody at home for tuning in.
Well, the championship rages on, and you're very, very close to it, so looking forward to see you again in Darlington.
Sounds like it. Sounds like a blah, blah, blah. Sounds like a plan. Thank you.
I need to mute some of the arguments on the voice chat there, so we can finish the show as we are entitled to. Derek, that race certainly was everything, wasn't it?
It was something. It was not your traditional Watkins Glen race. Maybe a little dirtier, a little bumpier, a little rougher than what I was expecting. But again, domination's the story. Michael Gudger deserves all the credit. I know I was a little sarcastic and snarky with Michael in the interview, but that was his dominance. That was perfection. And Michael should be proud of himself.
An absolute thriller on our road course of the season. As previously mentioned, Darlington's on the way, and it's a track that's going to produce some very, very challenging racing, and a field that's going to need to be patient, I think, to make it through to the end. You'll catch them same time next week. There's plenty more racing, not just with these drivers in the ARCA cars, but all over iRacing on the Green Flag TV account. So make sure you subscribe for more. I've been Howie Burrows and nailing it on the first take this time. I have also been alongside Derek Watson. Thank you very much for watching tonight, and we wish you a